Now, on to our next property. Hello, and welcome to my tutorial. Let's start by looking at the game's interfaces and controls. To quit the tutorial, just press the B button at any time. Each player has their own display panel. There's a message box and an interface area. Here's the summary interface. This is the default interface, where you roll the dice to start your turn. As well as showing your name and money, the small window is used to show you a close-up view of the board and your token. Next is the property management interface. This important interface lets you buy or sell houses, mortgage property, or trade with other players. You can move between the summary and property management interfaces by pressing the L button. This interface is only used during an auction and allows you to place bids. To access the options on each interface, you use a highlight. This can be moved around with the control pad or control stick. To select an option or icon, just press the A button. Selecting an option, such as Trade, will bring up a separate window with another interface. All interfaces can be controlled in the same way. From time to time, you'll need to select a tick or cross icon to confirm or cancel an operation. This can be done in two ways. You can either move the highlight to the icon and press the A button, or you can use a shortcut button. The shortcut for the tick icon is the X button. The B button is used as the shortcut for the cross icon. If you need more help on what an icon or option does, just press the Z button while the icon is highlighted and a help message will be displayed. Here we are on Go. Let's start the game. At the start of each turn, you need to roll the dice. To do this, select the summary interface and press the A button. You've rolled a 6. Let's move 6 spaces forward. Remember, you always move clockwise around the board. Now that you've arrived here, there are several options available to you, but I'll talk about these later. Because you rolled a double, you get to roll the dice again. This time, you rolled a 3. Let's move another 3 spaces. Each time you roll a double, you get to roll the dice again. This is great for getting around the board quickly, but you need to watch out. If you roll 3 doubles in a row, you'll be sent to jail. Okay, time to move on. Follow me. Ah, there you are. There's one final thing I want to tell you about when moving around the board. As you can see, we're nearly back at go. Let's roll the dice again. You've rolled a 4. You probably noticed that you passed go on your way here. Every time you land on or pass go, you'll receive a salary of $200. Let's now talk about community chest and chance. When you land on one of these spaces, you'll be shown a card taken from the top of the appropriate card pile. Some of the cards are good. As we can see on this card, the bank has made an error and you collect $200. Other cards can mean bad news. This card tells you that you must pay a hospital fee of $100. This money is paid to the bank. In addition to paying fines and fees, you can also be sent to jail. Luckily, there's a get-out-of-jail-free card to offset the go-to-jail card. If you pick up this card, you can keep it. When you land in jail, you can then use the card to get out immediately without having to roll a double or pay a fine. At some point in the game, you're going to find yourself in jail. One of the ways this can happen is to land on the go-to-jail space. At some point in the game, you're going to find yourself in jail. One of the ways this can happen is to land on the go-to-jail space, just as this token has done. As the space says, you must move directly to jail and you must not pass go or collect your salary. Once in jail, your turn is over, and you must wait until your next turn before you are allowed to try to get out. On your next turn, you will be given the choice of paying a fine or rolling the dice. If you roll a double, you will be released from jail and move forward the number of spaces shown on the dice. You are allowed 3 attempts to roll a double. Alternately, by paying a $50 fine, you will be released from jail and then can roll the dice and move the number of spaces shown. If you fail to roll a double on your 3rd attempt, you must pay the $50 fine and move forward the number of spaces indicated by the dice. You can also use a get-out-of-jail-free card, if you have one. If you have such a card, the game will ask if you want to use it. Just select the tick or cross icon once you've made your decision. To summarize, as well as landing on the go-to-jail space, you can also end up in jail if you pick up one of the community chest or chance go-to-jail cards, or roll 3 consecutive doubles. To get out of jail, you can either pay a fine, roll a double, or use a get-out-of-jail-free card. The object of the game is to become the wealthiest player through buying, renting, and selling property. The winner is the last player left in the game. So, how are players eliminated? It's a simple case of bankruptcy. When a player no longer has enough money or the means of obtaining enough money by selling houses or mortgaging property to pay a debt, they are declared bankrupt. This can happen if the player is required to pay rent to another player or a fine to the bank. A bankrupt player must retire from the game. So, what happens next? Well, this depends on who is owed the money. If the debt is to another player, all that you have of value is turned over to that player, and you retire from the game. In making this settlement, any houses or hotels must be returned to the bank in exchange for money. Any mortgaged property is also turned over to the creditor, who must immediately pay the bank 10% interest. The new owner can opt to repay the mortgage immediately or leave the property mortgaged. If the player chooses to leave the mortgage in place, they must pay 10% interest again when the mortgage is lifted. If your debt is to the bank, it will receive all of your assets. The bank will then immediately auction all properties it receives. Do you want to buy this property? This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? How about adding this property to your collection? That's another property for your portfolio. This property is for sale. Do you want to buy it? How about adding this property to your collection? Do you want to buy this property? This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? Advance to the nearest railroad. This property is for sale. Do you want to buy it? This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? Looks like you owe some rent. Do you want to buy this property? This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? How about adding this property to your collection? You owe some rent. Looks like you owe some rent. This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? What a great piece of real estate you've just bought. Go directly to jail. This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? How about adding this property to your collection? You rolled double 5. That's double 5. That's double 2. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You receive income for your services. This property is for sale. Do you want to buy it? This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? You owe player 4 rent. That's double 2. You owe rent to player 2. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. How about adding this property to your collection? Go to jail. Move directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. That's double one. You sell some stock. Do you want to buy this property? Do I have any takers? Talk about buying cheap. This property is for sale. Do you want to buy it? You owe player 2 rent. That's a double. Do you want to buy this property? You owe player 3 rent. You owe rent to player 2. You've been elected chairman of the board. You rolled double 2. Looks like you owe some rent. This property is vacant. Do you want to buy it? What a great piece of real estate you've just bought. You must go to jail. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. Looks like you owe some rent. The bank pays you a dividend. You owe some rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You owe rent to player 4. You must pay school tax. You owe player 2 rent. You've received an income tax refund. You owe player 3 rent. This property is for sale. Do you want to buy it? You must pay your doctor's fee. You owe rent to player 3. You owe rent to player 2. Your building loan matures. You owe player 4 rent. Looks like you owe some rent. How about adding this property to your collection? Who will start the bidding? Player 4 has raised the bid. No one bid at the auction. Doesn't anyone want this property? Advance to Boardwalk. You've won second prize in a beauty contest. You owe rent to player 4. This property is for sale. Do you want to buy it? Looks like you owe some rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. Personally, I'd have bought that property. Do I have any takers? I have a new bid. And that concludes the auction. You rolled double. You owe some rent. If you don't want to wait for your token to move from one space to another, each time you roll a double, you get to take. You've landed on a You owe rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. That's double one. You owe player 3 rent. Looks like you owe some rent. Take a ride on the reading. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You owe rent to player 4. Congratulations on building your first house. That's another house to your collection. You rolled double 4. Get out of jail free card. You owe some rent. You owe rent to player 2. Advance to St. Charles Place. Looks like you owe some rent. Your Christmas fund has matured. You owe player 1 rent. You're becoming quite a house builder. You owe rent to player 3. You owe player 3 rent. You owe rent to player 1. You owe player 4 rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. That will improve your rental income prospects. Looks like you owe some rent. You owe player 3 rent. That's a double! Advance to the nearest railroad. Just visiting. You're becoming quite a house builder. Another fine hotel to your growing chain. You rolled double 2. You owe rent to player 4. Your life insurance has matured. You owe player 4 rent. Go to jail. You owe some rent. You owe rent rent to player 3. That's double 1. Go to jail. Move directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You owe player 3 rent. That's double 2. Looks like you owe some rent. You owe player 4 rent. You receive income for your services. That's double 1. You owe some rent. You owe rent to player 3. Looks like you owe some rent. You rolled double 5. You owe rent to player 4. You sell some stock. You've inherited some money. You owe rent to player 2. You must pay school tax. You owe some rent. Looks like you're going to need to mortgage some property. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You owe player 1 rent. You've received an income tax refund. You owe rent to player 3. You're just visiting. That's double 1. You owe player 3 rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. That's double 2. You owe player 3 rent. You must pay poor tax. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You owe some rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You rolled a double. You've been elected chairman of the board. Go to jail. You've won second prize in a beauty contest. You rolled double two. You owe player 3 rent. You rolled a double. That's double 4. That's double 5. You owe player 1 rent. Grand Opera opening. Collect for opening night seats. That's going to be expensive. Looks like you owe some rent. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You rolled double 1. You owe player 4 rent. You rolled double 6. Advance to Illinois Avenue. You rolled double 1. There's been a bank error in your favor. You owe player 3 rent. I believe you will need to mortgage some of your property. Looks like you're going to have to pay some rent. You must pay your hospital fee. Advance to go. Looks like you're going to need to mortgage some property. That's another house to your collection. You're becoming quite a house builder. Another house. I believe you will need to mortgage some of your property. That's double 5. You owe some rent. Looks like you owe some rent. You rolled a double. You owe some rent. That's double 3. The trade. That's double 4. That's going to leave a big hole in your pocket. You don't have enough cash to pay the rent. All right.